r/askreddit. What's an industry secret in the field you work in?
Auto insurance agent. Please, for the love of God, don't tell auto insurance agents more than you have to. They ask you a question, just say yes or no, and answer the question as straight as you can. If you go on and on about your life story, you will probably end up saying something you don't have to and making your rate higher, or getting yourself declined. We want to get you that policy as cheap as possible. Only tell us what we need to know and don't say anything else. Edit. For some reason, I have people in the comments accusing me of enabling fraud now. Fraud sucks and is dumb. Don't lie with your answers. I will reiterate to be upfront and honest when answering the questions they ask you. Just don't go off on tangents and say unrelated crap.
In Microsoft Office, Word specifically, you can upload recorded interviews and it will transcribe it and ever have speaker 1 and speaker 2, 3, and 4, basically eliminating a huge annoying part of the job. Hey, what the F? This blew up. Everyone who gave awards and stuff, you're animals. I love you all. Okay, adding this edit. You do need to be subscribed to Office. Then when in Word there is a dictate button. If you click it, dictate and transcribe should pop up. Click transcribe. Yes, it's not perfect, but for a reporter who is transcribing all day long and is definitely the most annoying thing ever that I dread doing on a daily basis, it's changed my life.
Wow, but how?
Go to Home, Dictate, drop-down, Transcribe. Select Upload Audio. Choose an audio file from the file picker. Transcribe currently supports WAV, M4, M4A, 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 M3 format.
The fruits and veggies you buy at the grocery store. Wash them.
Same with clothes. I used to work retail in the ladies' wear and home linen department, and there have definitely been bugs and rats scurrying across your 1200s Egyptian cotton sheets.
Knowing how to research the answer to a question is at least as or even more useful than knowing the answer to begin with. I made a living in it for a decade with that mindset.
I don't know any programming languages, but I know how to translate. It's worked so far.
I'm the receptionist for an IT company. Being able to translate the whole system has gone Kaflooey to steps like, are there any error messages? And what were you doing when this happened? Is a pretty needed skill. Note, if you are not tech-savvy and your computer has an error code, take a picture with your phone or write it down. It's extremely helpful. If you don't have tech help on standby, you can often Google it and see what the problem is. Before that, I worked phones at a hardware store. It's surprisingly similar advice. Take pictures, especially any codes on hardware pieces.
I'm a dentist. Here's the lowdown on toothpaste. As long as it has fluoride, they're all basically the same. When I was in dental school, the Colgate lady came by and said that everything that says Colgate Total on it is all exactly the same. The only difference is the packaging. So whether it says whitening or gum protection or whatever else it is, all exactly the same. The exception is sensitivity. Toothpaste typically does have an extra active ingredient, North3, which helps with sensitivity. Don't ever feel obligated to buy the expensive toothpaste because you think it will be better for your teeth. Just buy whatever you like best.
But the toothpaste I buy at the dentist, ClinPro, is different, correct?
Yes, ClinPro, a prescription toothpaste, has a higher percentage of fluoride, which makes it better for people who tend to get cavity.
Library worker here. The majority of donations we receive do not end up in circulation, on our shelves. No matter how much you demand, we put them there once they're donated. The reason why this is because we only add items to the collection that we think will circulate, be checked out. Most libraries get funding based off of statistics. We don't want to waste shelf space on items that people aren't checking out, as it won't improve our stats. So unless the donated items are brand new or by popular authors, we will not add them to the collection. We will also weed unpopular items from our collection with extreme prejudice for this reason, much to our patrons' horror. These books usually end up being sold at book sales to help generate funding for other library programs.
My library does the same. Also, when people buy replacement copies of items they've damaged, we don't replace it with the copy they bought. We'd rather you just pay the replacement fee. That way we can get what we want in terms of edition.
As a beginner counselor, I worked with a lot of children and adolescents. Consistently, the discussion with my colleagues was how it was the parents who were the biggest problem and the kids were just adapting to a crazy environment.
As an SW student who worked with kids for 5 years, I tell everyone who wants to work with kids that they better be prepared to work with parents. Mostly, any behaviors or patterns that you instill as a professional are just going to be overridden the second they return home if the parents aren't also on board. A lot of librarians will waive your fines if you have an excuse and you don't ask too frequently, even large fines. Also, librarians don't care about your fines and aren't judging you. Please come back. We personally have more fines than you. Librarians are always overdue with their books. Edit. I wrote this before going to bed, and it exploded overnight. Thank you, kind strangers, for the awards. I'm touched. All your fines are waived for life. Also small grammar edit.
Oh man, Age of Mythology was my shit.
Not an industry I work in per se, but I used to be in a sales role. One of my customers was a milk bottling plant. I was somewhat surprised that they were putting the exact same milk in both organic and non-organic cartons. Turns out all of their milk is organic, but in order to not miss out on the sales of non-organic milk, they just bottle them differently and sell them at different prices. Stay a while and listen.
Former industry. Commercial radio. It's never caller 5. It's the caller who sounds best on air.
You'd be surprised how willingly someone will do their job and even go above and beyond if you just compliment them for their professionalism, politeness, and how they are helping them. Thank you all.
As a cashier, I am not even ashamed to admit that I will do more for you if you tell me I'm being helpful.
I have yearly playthroughs of Ocarina of Time, A Link to the Past, and Chrono Trigger, and I haven't gotten bored of them after all these years.
Where can I get that game? I used to play it on XBay, but I haven't been able to find it for years.
Space pinball on Windows.
We've captured a command post.
A lot of successful artists at a certain level of success do nothing more than create a concept and employ several assistants who are either current or graduating art students who actually make the art itself, its reproductions, or both. Edit. I know this is old news in the art industry and academy, but outside of it I found it very hard to explain my job to people. I do believe that films also romanticize this field and warp what a lot of outsiders think it actually is.
They are making Pokemon Snap 2, apparently.
That they wouldn't buy it unless it had some stupid name attached to it that they recognize instead of actually appreciating art.
My friend always gets the N64 out on his birthday. We play GoldenEye, Bomberman 64, and sometimes Mario Kart. Does once a year count as regularly? Oh, and every now and then I'll dig out mine and play Pokemon Snap. I've always felt this was a massively underloved game. I bet it'd be amazing with modern graphics and game engines. Maybe they could even have a course creator mode where people could submit their own routes. Edit. Apparently Pokemon's Snap 2 is in the works. Guess I'm buying a Switch.
Was hoping someone else would say San Andreas. My favorite GTA game for sure. Holds a lot of nostalgia for me.
There's a McDonald's hack for this, on a touchscreen menu. Basically, by deconstructing the sandwiches, you ended up with an extra 10 cents off. Burger is like 1.50, but discounts were 1.50, but discounts were 1.60. So if you order that 15 times, people could get a full one free of charge. Been fixed since.
San Andreas. I sometimes love to play it and drive around the city and cry for the old days.
Color me completely unsurprised.
Cheers. I'll drink to that broth.
In my county, a girl got stuck in a clothes washer. I wasn't on the call, but there's a video of it online. I remember doing car extrication in the academy, but not washer extrication.
Oh, step. Firefighter
I play through the Baldur's Gate series every year or two. It's still my favorite series of all time.
Super Mario 64.
I know a few teachers, and this seems to be a pretty common view. One said 30% of his job is teaching, 30% is unnecessary school admin, and 40% is dealing with parents who think their spoiled little crap is a victim of some conspiracy. I edit. This was at a fancy private school.
Morrowind.
all the Zelda games, Final Fantasy Tactics, favorite all-time game, Star Wars, Battlefront 1 2, 1 is my preferred split screen with friends, various other sneeze games. Edit, okay, you all convinced me to replay Tactics. I'm gonna try streaming it too. Not really my jam, but why not?
Can confirm. Great eBay. Highly recommendation. Fast shipping from USA.
Team Fortress 2.
Worked in the nightclub industry for 3 years, and I can attest to this. We had a baseline dress code, but we would be lax with certain Kogkai paying Kogkai Kane Kog guests. Also, if you're going to be a dick, you better be dressed to the T, because otherwise security will refuse you entry and say it's because of an otherwise negligible dress code violation. And they won't care about how the guy right in front of you who just got in was doing it too.
RuneScape.
I went to a wholesale nursery once. They had a little printout with a map, a price guide, price was based on pot size, and a little ruler so you could measure pot diameter. Was a great time. I picked up some nice plants at a great price.
The Sims 2. Everything about it is perfect to me. The music especially. It has a goofiness and warmth we don't see much these days.
If in doubt, tighten all the screws and bolts.
Command and Conquer Red Alert 2.
Coder. It's on EOS now, so you can play mobile.
When I used to work in a hotel, we would call the customer care line preemptively. If a guest was acting up and we thought they'd demand compensation for something stupid, we'd get our story on record first. X happened, we offered I, guest refused and got angry, and rarely got charged even if the guest was compensated by customer care.
Worms. This blew up. Simple, stupid, awesome game.
I wonder if companies with 100s of resumes would get better hires from taking 50 and reading them carefully rather than putting 500 through an automated process.
Well, first of all, what you do is take half the pile and throw it in the trash. You don't want unlucky people working for you anyway.
Fallout MV. Feels like I always find something new.
I work in medical devices. I can agree. The numbers are all made up. Whatever it should cost, add 2 zeros. Now you know what list is. Cut 40% off that, and that's what a big hospital chain pays. But a little hospital chain pays, but a little hospital only gets 20% off. Do that a couple of million times a year, and you have the tens of billions of dollars in revenue a medical devices company makes.
I wrote a paper in college about how medical device and prescription drug companies were a big contributor to price inflation in healthcare. Gotta be you. Later found out the instructor used to work for Pfizer.
Jedi City. Effing classic.
Well, I'm about due for another playthrough of the Mass Effect trilogy.
It costs about $200,000 to put your own book on the top of the New York Times bestseller list. All you have to do is buy a lot of copies yourself. And if that bestseller status helps you sell more books, you can make that $200,000 back by selling the big stock of books you've collected. Portal.
I know a lot of people get annoyed when a store employee pushes the credit card, but at the kids' clothing store I worked at, if you didn't get at least X amount per day, they cut our hours. I wasn't pushing you a shitty credit card to be an asshole. I was scared to lose my hours. Edit. I'm trying to reply to everyone, but I didn't expect this to blow up. If you're in the same position or have been, I'm sorry you dealt with this too. It's honestly shitty, and our minimum wage job should not depend on peddling your wonky store credit card/loyalty program.
7. Nightfire.
The original Fable.
Oh no.
Little Big Planet. That game is so nostalgic. I recommend those who haven't played it to definitely do so. Oh, and Raymond. That game is incredibly fun. Duh.
It also depends how many people there are compared to how many problems. An army of ants can still take down a beetle just by overwhelming force and luck, or a single individual can be worked to the bone.
Heroes of Might and Magic 3.
And your $6 glass of sangria might actually just be boxed wine with some fruit in it.
Crash Bandicoot. Edit. Thank you for the awards. It's my first time.
I've noticed that a lot of people do their thinking conversationally. That is, if they have to make an important decision alone, they get very confused and indecisive. But give them another person to talk it through with, and they can come to a decision after much back and forth. I'm personally the opposite. I need space alone to think to come to a decision.